Okay, let's unpack this. If I say the word stretching to you, what's the first thing that pops into your head for it? For me, it's that mandatory 5 minutes after a run, right? Maybe you're kind of grimacing, pushing just a little too far, just trying to tick a box. It feels like a chore, something you do to your body.
And that's exactly the idea we're going to challenge today. We're diving into Appendix D, and this source material just completely reframes the whole practice. It argues that stretching isn't mechanical at all. It's what it calls a biological conversation with your nervous system. The whole point is to restore length, space, and ease in a way that just yanking on a muscle can't.
A conversation. I like that. So you're giving permission, not forcing a change. So our mission for you, the listener, is to really pull out the surprising biology here. We want to get to the why behind this slow, intentional kind of release, how it's talking to your brain, not just your muscles.
Precisely. We're moving the whole goalpost away from, how many inches closer are my fingers to my toes?
Yeah.
And we're moving it toward how do I signal to my brain that it's safe to let go?
Okay, so let's start with the problem the source lays out, the problem of modern life. It basically says that our lives are, well, shortening us, and not just in the ways we think, like tight hamstrings from sitting. It says it shortens our attention, our breath, our actual posture. We just sit and rush and hold.
That holding, that's the key word. I mean, think about it. Modern life is just a series of low-grade stresses, right? Email alerts, deadlines, just the pressure to always be on. Your body reads that whole environment as needing to be ready for anything all the time. And the biological response, it's to tighten up. It's a protection mechanism.
So when my shoulders are up by my ears after a long day at the computer, that's not just bad posture. That's my body literally curling into a protective little ball because my brain is still yelling, threat, or at least be ready for a threat.
That's a perfect way to put it. The stiffness is your nervous system's solution to feeling unsafe. It makes the whole structure smaller, more rigid, ready for action. And this right here is the big aha moment in the source. If tightness is protection, then forcing a stretch, like aggressively pulling on a muscle, only confirms to the brain that there is a threat. It makes it guard even more.
Wow. Okay, so that just completely throws the whole no pain, no gain idea out the window.
It absolutely does. The real paradigm shift is this. When you approach stretching gently, with awareness, you're communicating safety. You're sending a signal to the brain that says, hey, the threat has passed. It's an invitation. You're asking the body to lengthen by permission.
That changes the whole feeling of the practice. It feels less like a competition with yourself and more like genuine care. So if the goal isn't to be able to do the splits, what is the actual outcome we're looking for here?
The source is really clear about this. The aim is length for comfort, ease, better circulation. It's about getting back that internal space that life kind of steals from you. You feel the benefit when you just stand up and take a deep breath, or when you can fall asleep more easily, not in some complicated pose.
Okay, let's get into the specifics then, the physiology. We're not just targeting a muscle, we're targeting the nervous system. What's actually happening in there when we do this slow, intentional stretching?
Well, there are 4 key things happening at once. First, and this is probably the most important, you are actively reducing what's called sympathetic tone. That's your fight, flight, or freeze state, the doing state.
And what does that feel like when that throttle comes down?
You might actually notice your heart rate slow down a bit. Maybe you feel a softening in your jaw or your shoulders drop. It's the feeling of your internal alarm system switching off. And second, as that happens, you enhance parasympathetic activity. That's your rest and repair mode. So as one goes down, the other comes up. And that improves digestion, breathing, recovery, all of it.
So you're literally flipping a switch inside from alert to, okay, run maintenance.
Yeah.
What about what you're feeling, like your sense of your own body?
That's the third point. You're improving proprioceptive awareness. Proprioceptors are these tiny sensors in your muscles and joints that tell your brain where your limbs are in space. When you move slowly, you're basically fine-tuning them. You become less clumsy, more grounded.
Which I imagine makes the brain feel even safer.
Exactly. It's a positive feedback loop. And the fourth effect is circulation. When you release that chronic tension, you literally free up the pathways for blood and lymph. Better flow means more oxygen, better waste removal. That feeling of warmth the source talks about.
Yes, all really boils down to one crucial idea then. Muscles soften because the brain allows them to,
Yeah.
not because they're pulled.
Absolutely. The brain has to get that signal of safety first. And this leads right into the core philosophy of this whole approach, which the source calls the set and forget philosophy.
I have to say, that phrase, set and forget, it feels almost revolutionary when you think about how we usually rush through a stretch. What does that mean in practice?
It means you completely reject the idea of force.
Got it.
Stretching isn't something you do to your body. It's a situation you set up and then you allow it to happen. You get into a supported, gentle position, you take away the urgency, and then you step back. You let the nervous system do the work. Your only job is to be present.
But if the goal is just comfort, how do we stop our competitive brains from taking over? I mean, we're programmed to want to measure progress.
That's a great question, and the source has a really good answer for it. It says the only valid signal of success is ease.
Ease.
Yeah. If you finish feeling calmer, warmer, and more spacious than when you started, you succeeded. That's it. It shifts the metric entirely inward. If you find yourself pushing or making a face, you've gone too far. You're doing it wrong.
I like that. An internal barometer. The source also connects this to the seasons, which I found fascinating. Why is this practice especially good for autumn and winter?
Because we have a natural biological tendency to contract when it's cold and dark, we literally curl inward. Our muscles get a bit less pliable. This practice helps to gently counteract that withdrawal. It stops you from feeling so compressed by the weather and the shorter days.
It's an antidote to winter stiffness.
Exactly. And in spring and summer, the practice can be lighter, more playful, because your body is already more open. But this idea of slowness, it's also a philosophical antidote to our culture of busyness. It teaches the nervous system that just being present is enough.
And that repetition is more important than variation.
Yes, the source really emphasizes that. Repeating the same simple routine builds a sense of safety, and safety is what allows real release to happen.
Which is a perfect transition to the actual routine. The 5-phase release routine, it's about 12 to 20 minutes. And the structure is key, starting with phase 1, arrival and decompression.
This is your first 3 to 5 minutes. And it requires you to be in what's called the constructive rest position. So you're on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And the source says this isn't optional. It's mandatory.
Mandatory? What? So strict? Why can't I just, jump right into a hamstring stretch?
Because that position immediately takes the compressive load off your spine. And more importantly, it starts that downshift of the sympathetic nervous system we were talking about. If you skip the arrival, you're trying to stretch from a state of high alert. The body will just fight back. This first step is the foundation for safety.
Got it. Signal safety first. Then you move to phase 2, spinal length and space, 4 to 6 minutes.
Correct. The first movement is a gentle spinal flexion, just softly hugging your knees toward your chest. It's not about pulling, it's about widening the space in your lower back. The second move is a spinal rotation, usually a supine twist.
A classic move. But why is this one so important for the nervous system?
Because when you do it slowly, the deep protective muscles around your spine have to register that the movement is safe. It's like you're telling your brain, see, we can explore this range and we're supported. It actively reduces that guarding response that makes our backs so rigid, especially in winter.
The body learns it's okay to be flexible.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, phase 3, postural opening. Again, 4 to 6 minutes, but now we're focused on the front of the body.
Yes, this is crucial. Think of our phone posture or desk posture. We're always rounded forward. So this phase is about a chest and shoulder opening. You might lie over a rolled up blanket. It's essential because it restores breathing space, and a full breath is one of the fastest ways to signal safety to your brain.
And the other part of this is neck lengthening.
It's often the smallest movement with the biggest impact. The neck and shoulders are like ground zero for stress. When you can gently soften the muscles there, even just by letting your head feel heavy, you send a powerful signal of security through the entire system.
Phase 4 gets into the lower body. Another 4 to 6 minutes. This is for all of us who sit too much.
Absolutely. We're talking about a hamstring release, but again, gently. And a hip flexor and adductor release. These are the muscles that get so tight from being folded into a chair all day, but also from emotional stress.
And the source is really specific here. No deep end range work.
That's right. This is restoration, not gymnastics. You use support, like a cushion under your knees. You find the very first feeling of a stretch, and you breathe there. The moment you feel yourself straining, you've gone too far. You've triggered the guarding response.
And then finally, phase 5, integration and closure.
Yeah.
With 2 or 3 minutes of stillness.
And you must not skip this part. It feels like you're doing nothing, but this is when the release consolidates. It's the moment the nervous system has a chance to record the new feeling of ease. If you jump right up, you lose a lot of the long-term benefit. It's when your brain updates its map of your body.
So we've gone from stretching as a chore to this short, dedicated practice of nervous system care. The main takeaway seems to be, if you feel effort, you've gone too far. Stop earlier next time.
That's the essence of it. Use these practices as anchors. End of the workday, before bed, anytime you feel that tension building up.
And for anyone who wants a guide for these specific movements, the source does mention that these practices are on the Art of Set and Forget YouTube channel. That's at El Sarais Fernandez.
Right. It gives you that structure you need to build the repetition, which builds the safety. And that leads to a final thought. If repetition builds safety, and safety allows your body to let go, how might your nervous system eventually remember length and ease the same way it remembers how to breathe, effortlessly, without you even having to think about it? That's the real goal here.